Okay, we are now on to system variables for keyboards. So this is a way that we can use the keyboard to allow the user to interact with our sketch in some way. And I've just got up here the processing.org reference, and I am going to scan down through this. I'm looking for the keyboard section. Here it is. So in this keyboard section, I've got some types of system variables, such as key, key code, key pressed, and I also have some examples of event handlers, which are functions which happen once when that condition occurs. So first of all, let's just look at the key pressed mouse variable. So in this situation, it is basically got a shape and it's going to change the fill of that shape based on whether or not a key is pressed, right? So let's just start off a go at trying to create that type of thing. So I'm going to create my setup, create a size. I always forget size. Okay. I feel like processing should have these functions already there when I open it up. I feel like it's a repetitive task for me to do this. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to draw an ellipse. Let's just do an ellipse. Position x, y, 100 wide by 100 tall, and I'm going to set x to be 300 and y to be 300. How very imaginative of me. Okay, now, what I want to do is determine some fill. So I would normally create fill like this. So call something black. So black is 0 and white is 255. So I normally set the fill to black and then draw the ellipse, right? So that's just going to draw me a circle. But what if I want to make it so that every time I'm pressing a key, for as long as I press the key, that white circle appears, and when I let go, it becomes black. So to do that, I need to know whether or not a key is pressed. And key pressed doesn't exist, that's because I'm looking for capital P. So if key pressed, do something. So if key pressed, we want to make it white, else make it black. That. So what I've done here is I've basically just used comments to start building up the logic of my situation, and then later on I can go back and say, okay, actually include the code that does what I want it to do. So in this case, this is going to be else make it black, and this is going to be make it white. So I'm pretty confident that this is going to work. Every time I draw the ellipse, I'm first going to determine if the key is pressed, then fill it with white, otherwise fill it with black, and then draw the ellipse. So if I run that now, we have, as expected, black, and then I press the key, I let go of the key, I press a key, I let go, press a key, let go, press a key, let go, and I'm just pressing random keys on my keyboard in front of me to show you that key press just means any key at all. I can start to do things where I'm looking at detecting specific keys though. So I want black to be my like, if nothing else happens. So I'm kind of going to have this nested if statement situation. So I want to do, first of all, if it's R, then make it red. Else if B, make it blue. Else if G, make it green. Or else anything else. Let's stick to that white that we had before. So, how do I write if the key that I've selected is R? So there is a key variable, and that key variable corresponds to the ASCII value of the key being pressed on the keyboard. So if key R then do this. Then make it red. Equals equals R, correction. Else if key equals equals B, then make it blue. Now, I've kept these colours in here for now because I'm going to create colour variables afterwards. Else if key is G, open, close, else, then white. So this is quite an interesting situation I've got here because I have, if the key is pressed, then I need to do something out of this list here. So if R, else if B, else if G, else white. So what I'm doing is saying, if it's R, great, we're going to skip to the end because we've already dealt with that. If none of these are true, then my else catch-all statement is to make it white. So I'm going to do fill to be red, fill to be blue. Now these are going to show up to say that I don't have a variable for them. And that's okay, we're going to go back and fill them in later. So I need to create this colour variable. So we can create red, so remember that's just colour and then 3 parameters inside. So we can kind of cheat here. We know that red is going to be full on the R one. We know that blue is going to be full on the blue one. And we know that green is the option that's left. 00255. Now these are kind of horrible shades of red, green and blue, so you can use the colour selector and come up with something more interesting if you want, but I've just gone with like your kind of harsh 90s computing colour to make this work. Oh, I missed out the fill white there, didn't I? Okay, so now I have my RGB and RBG green. Yep, that's all right. So now syntax error, maybe missing a semicolon, most likely. Yes, there we go. Run again, and so now I've got my circle. I want to test each variation, so I'm going to test R, that works. B does not work. B makes green, and green makes blue, so I need to check that out. Any other code makes white and black, so it's the blue that's wrong. So I know that this bit is correct, else if it's B, then do it blue. Because I've got these round the wrong way, haven't I? Should be red, green, blue. RGB, red, green, blue. Run it again just to make sure. Red works, green works, blue works, any other thing works, and the default is black. Okay, so that has allowed me to, and what I would probably do is kind of just start to put comments in so that I can understand what each part of if does. It gets quite a little bit complicated when I've got lots of them, like just the first time you look, you're kind of a bit taken aback. So always put as many comments as you can, and having these variables just makes it super easy to read, so always put colour variables is my advice. Okay, the last thing that I want us to have a think about is not all keys are just read as the ASCII code. Some of them have an actual code. So we saw a variable that was called key code like this, so it went pink, so we've got a nice system variable in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a new section under here, and we're going to have a look to see what key code actually means. So key code is space, enter, return, up, down, that sort of thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is the key pressed? Oh, I've done that capital P thing again. Key pressed. If the key is coded, then check what key code I'm using. If it's up, then move it up. If it's not, maybe it is, oh, if the key code is down, then move it down. So now I need to end that loop and end that one. So now I have a situation where I can move something up or down depending on whether the key code is up or down, and that is just my arrow keys down here. So if I'm moving something up, what do I need to change? I need to change the y value, right? So I've got an ellipse already. It's using the y variable, so I could just take one off the y value to move it up and add one to the y value to move it down. So remember, y minus minus is the same as y becomes y minus 1. Y plus plus is the same as y becomes y plus 1. Now I'm going to run that. And we can see it's moving. Obviously, when I let go, we're still running this situation at the top with the colours. What I can do to make that slightly more interesting is I can add a background here, and we'll just make a white background. So that means we're going to not see that trail every time we move, we're only going to see the button. So I can press red and then move it, for example. So the red is still RGB, is still working, but obviously the computer can only detect the most recent key that was pressed, and that is up or down, which is not R, G, or B. And so it becomes white. So that is an overview of how you can use system variables to start to move things around, create a little bit of animation, and give the user some more control over their own sketch using the keyboard.